On today's edition of the Commanders Report, Washington signed a new player that is probably going to start for this team pretty much immediately here, guys. We'll talk about that at the top of today's show. Then we'll go into the injury updates that head coach Dan Quinn has provided for us here after the Commanders beat the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday afternoon. And then should the Commanders start Chris Paul over Brandon Coleman moving forward at left guard? We'll have that discussion at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon and like today's show to celebrate yesterday's win versus the Las Vegas Raiders. It is Victory Monday here on the Commanders Report, so help us celebrate by helping out today's video by clicking that thumbs up icon. So unfortunately, guys, we did get some bad news on Will Harris yesterday after the game and after our post-game cut came out that Will Harris has a fibula fracture and has been placed on IR, but it is not a complete break. It's just a fracture, so there is hope that Harris could come back at some point this season, especially come playoff time, but he has been placed on IR, and he will miss significant time with that injury. And right now, guys, the Commanders have 5 starters at the beginning of this season, or 5 players that were at least getting rotational work on the IR. Austin Ekeler, Deatrich Wise out for the season. Sam Cosmi, we did get a positive update from head coach Dan Quinn today. Apparently he is really close to returning, so that is terrific news for Sam Cosmi and this offensive line. And Jonathan Jones will be out for a little bit here. He's on IR, and now Will Harris is going to be missing significant time at safety. So, starting to pile up with the long, serious injuries here. So hopefully, there's no more in the weeks to come. But today, to make up for the Will Harris injury, the Commanders have signed starting safety Darnell Savage, and Savage has been a starting safety pretty much his entire career in the National Football League. Was just released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, he's starting to get up there in age. He's not 30 yet, but he is 28 years old. He's sitting at about 200 pounds and not the biggest guy in the world, kind of similar to Quan Martin's size, honestly, and he's known more as a speedy safety that ran a 4.36 coming out of school. And, he just got released by the Jaguars after a really tough start to his 2025 season, so hopefully he can turn it around here in Washington. But certainly, this is somebody that has struggled through the first couple of weeks, which is why the Jaguars let him go. But now he is a Washington Commander, which is really good news here because you're getting somebody that has played a lot of football, who is an established veteran at the safety spot. And I do think that he actually fits Will Harris's role as kind of another kind of deep safety in this Commanders defense quite well. And because you're signing him so early into the week here, I think there's somewhat of a chance that he could get some rotational work as early as this Sunday when this team plays the Atlanta Falcons. Now, you take a look at some of his career stats. You guys can see here he's collected some PBUs, some interceptions. He's played with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He played for Jacksonville in 2024 and started this season here under Liam Cohen in 2025. But before that, he played for the Green Bay Packers. And as you guys can see, he's had some good seasons. He's had some bad seasons as well, as evidenced by his career PFF grading here. Last year was not a good year for him in Duval, just a 46.9 grade, and his grade before that, or before he got released from Jacksonville this year, was in the 30s. So it was not very good for Darnell. He's very much somebody that's a veteran, that's got a lot of experience, but he's certainly looking to bounce back here with the Washington Commanders. But what I'll say here, guys, is he's certainly volatile. He might not be a good player. He might be somebody that gives up a lot of yardage for this team, and it's certainly a downgrade from Will Harris, but he is a serviceable replacement at this safety position that hopefully won't be too much of a liability in the secondary in the weeks to come. But also, guys, what I'll say here is look out for an increased workload from Jeremy Reaves. I think he's really done a good job as a tackler the first few weeks of the season. When he's had opportunities to be out there at bandit and at safety, he's taken those opportunities and run with them. He's had some really big hits. He had another one this weekend versus the Raiders, and with Savage looking to be ramped up, I would expect Jeremy Reaves' workload to increase quite dramatically, especially for this week when this team plays the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Grade the signing of Darnell Savage. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F for today's pinned comment in question. I'm going to talk about our sponsor today here in just a second. While I'm talking about PrizePicks, give me an A, B, C, D, or F down there in the comments. With that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at PrizePicks. And you and I, we both make decisions every single day, but most of those decisions don't get you paid. But on PrizePicks, being right with your decisions can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Football season is finally here, and you better believe I'll be getting my lineups in all season long. PrizePicks is super simple to play. Just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from PrizePicks this year that I absolutely love is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks will not count that as a loss. Now, you guys can take a look here at my PrizePicks projection for tonight's Thursday night football matchup. I am taking the more on touchdowns for Amon-Ra St. Brown, the more on touchdowns there for Derrick Henry, the more on Lamar Jackson. I think that's rushing attempts there. Okay, then we got the more on receiving yards from Sam Laporta, the more on Tyler Loop. That is a fantasy score, and we took the more on Zay Flowers receptions in this game. So we are very more heavy today, guys. So go download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Some more injury updates outside of Will Harris here. Cornerback Marshawn Lattimore had to go into concussion protocol in the game yesterday versus the Raiders. He has now been cleared, so he will be good to go versus the Atlanta Falcons here in Week 4. Then we get to Jaden Daniels, who is still considered day-to-day with a knee injury, the same one that kept him out of this last week's game. And I think that it's pretty clear that Washington should play it safe with Jaden Daniels moving forward. All right, you want to make sure that he is fully healed up, that he is feeling good, that he's not pushing things just to get onto the field. Because guess what, guys? Marcus Mariota proved once again that he is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. And how many teams in the league can honestly say, if their quarterback gets hurt, take your time coming back? All right, the Washington Commanders have an incredible blessing here, having a guy in Marcus Mariota who is a serviceable starter out there in this offense. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing another Mariota revenge game versus the Atlanta Falcons. And you better believe he hates the Atlanta Falcons organization more than he hates the Las Vegas Raiders organization. The Falcons pretty much quit on him, and he ended up leaving the team in the middle of the season. So you better believe he's got some bad blood with Atlanta. And, if Jaden Daniels is not 100%, I don't really see any reason to play with fire, risk further injury. Marcus Mariota, if he gives you the better chance to win, and, Jaden is still looking to get better and he's not back to 100%, I would say start Marcus Mariota again this week. Then Dan Quinn talked to the media today, and he said that more injury updates are going to be coming on Wednesday. So Terry McLaurin, Trey Amos, some of the other guys that suffered injuries in Sunday's game. We're going to have more updates as the week goes on. Next update will come on Wednesday, I should say. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that news. But also make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you believe in Marcus Mariota as this team's backup quarterback. I know I do. If you're with me on that, click that thumbs up icon. And now let's have the discussion here about whether or not Chris Paul, who has been with this organization for many years, he's always been kind of a developmental type guy, hasn't really played well when he's gotten opportunities, but he's stuck around the practice squad, stuck around on the active roster with different regimes here in Washington. And he gets an opportunity this week, and he puts up an 85.4 PFF grade versus the Raiders. And by the way, guys, the film, I think, backs that up. He played pretty darn well. Now, to be fair, the Raiders defensive line, terrible, all right, especially on the interior, okay? They lost Christian Wilkins, and they didn't replace him after they let him go. So they've got some very, very replacement level, backup level guys starting at defensive tackle, and those were the guys that Chris Paul was tasked with going up with, but it's still a pretty darn good performance. And Brandon Coleman in the first 2 games this year, he not only is he kind of working through a shoulder issue right now, but his PFF grade has not been good. And like I've said before, guys, PFF grading's not gospel by any stretch of the imagination, but a 50.1 PFF grade, and then on film, I think he had some good moments, but certainly had his lapses as well. I think that this coaching staff wanted to see more from him, and with his injury kind of lingering, I think they wanted to see what Chris Paul could do, and he showed some good things, and that really is the question, which is whether or not the Commanders should stick with the hot hand and stick with Chris Paul as their starting left guard this season. Dan Quinn had this to say about the left guard predicament. He said, we're still in the early days here to get going, and competition's part of who we are in all ways, in all shapes and sizes. So inside at guard, our mentality is, quote-unquote, hey, we're going to go a different way. So it sounds like Dan Quinn is definitely leaning towards giving Chris Paul the starting left guard job, at least for now. I think he left the door open for Brandon Coleman to earn his way back into the starting lineup, but it certainly seems like Chris Paul is the hot hand, and that's the guy they're going to be going with, and especially with Sam Cosmi looking like he's going to be back here pretty soon at right guard. That is a huge upgrade this offensive line is going to get. And by the way, I thought Andrew Wiley played pretty darn good at right guard this weekend as well. So, 2 upgrades at the guard position, certainly a big step up compared to where they were versus the Green Bay Packers. It's a worse pass rush the Raiders are versus that Packers front, which is excellent, but certainly it looked better in Week 3, and it's definitely a positive step forward heading into future weeks. So pick your left guard for me down there in the comment section. If both guys are healthy, who are you going with? Chris Paul, type CP, or Brandon Coleman, type BC? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, I'm sticking with the hot hand and Chris Paul. Let me know your opinion down there in the comment section. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders News and Rumors here on the Commanders Report. Make sure you click that subscribe button for more in-depth Commanders updates throughout the week right here on the channel.